Hi everyone. I'm continuing with the series about teaching, and looks like the lighting is a little bit better for this video. And I wanted to continue explaining something I talked about in the last video, which is standards, and how this can be very useful in terms of looking at what you need as a student and also as a teacher in looking at where the students' problem areas are. And I want to talk about reading comprehension because this is something I got more and more interested in my career, because so many students, second language English students in Asia, have a lot of trouble with this. And I noticed it started getting worse and worse as years went on, which I think is because of cell phones and how reading, especially reading paper books, is not really stressed enough in Asian schools. And even teachers often don't really read a lot. And I can see the result. Now, I want to talk about standards and how they can be expressed in a couple of books I've used and made videos about them, which are also on this channel. Now, this is a series that's pretty popular in Asia, Step Up Comprehension series. Now, it uses a simplified system, and I'm going to go right now and explain that system of looking at reading comprehension as three types of questions. Basically, level 1, which is literal, level 2, which is inferential, and level 3, which is evaluative. The inferential and the evaluative ones are the ones that give the students trouble. The literal, they just go back and look at the passage, and if it says Joe has 3 sisters, and they find in the passage it says Joe has 3 sisters, no problem. The inferential is more difficult. That's where it doesn't say it directly. Evaluative is where you have to make some kind of supposition or hypothesis, and you have to support it with evidence. Now, this is where reading comprehension and writing converge. They become the same issue, which is how do you support your point with evidence? Now, this is another series which I've made videos about, which is a good series, 180 Days of Reading, and this one uses the very, very specific U.S. Common Core standards to define each and every question as to what standard it applies to. Now, the U.S. Common Core standards are the most specific that I've found in evaluating different countries in how they evaluate textbooks, because I am producing vocabulary teaching materials that I want to get approved by school districts. Well, I'll show you this, and I'll give a close-up. Common Core standards are very specific, and each point of each question has to be defined according to what standard that it meets for that grade level. So these are good to know about because they serve a purpose. And you notice the 2 books that I picked are both grade 4, because grade 4 is actually where the journey really begins to university and then to higher education. The foundation is laid in the lower grades, but the skills you need start really becoming developed in grade 4. And it's a progression. It's just like mathematics. You have to learn addition and subtraction, arithmetic, and then you learn algebra, and then you learn geometry, and then trigonometry, and then calculus. You can't study calculus unless you can do algebra. Similarly, you can't go on to higher education if you don't have the lower levels of English. Well, before you can do the inferential part of reading comprehension, you first have to be able to read fluently. Reading fluency. And in order to do that, you have to understand the vocabulary. Well, maybe you can't understand every single word. And so you have to have some kind of strategy or way that you approach new words. This is called word decoding. So it really all starts back in kindergarten, first, second, third grade, where you learn phonics, how to decode the individual parts of words that are written there on the paper, make some kind of educated guess as to how to say the word. Well, then the next step is some kind of educated guess about what the word means. Well, you have to be able to decode the word, not only in how to say those parts, but what those parts probably mean. And that is what's called the roots approach, learning the individual parts of words and how they work. So I hope this video helps you to understand, and I'll continue with more about teaching and how key moments, what are called teachable moments in a lesson, can be used to expand vocabulary. See you again soon. Bye-bye.